January 31st, 2024. Gee, the first month of the year already over with. But what I want to address tonight is the issue that one of our military bases that was, I think it's on the Jordanian border, very close to Syria, was attacked by a drone and was launched by one of the Iranian surrogate organizations. And this time it got through and killed 3 service members and seriously injured a whole bunch more. I think 34 or even more were injured, and some of them in fairly serious condition. So the thing about this situation is that, there've been a whole lot of similar attacks, but we successfully shot them down, or the damage they did just wasn't as much. Maybe they didn't hit the right target. This one hit the barracks, and they sort of, if you want to call that luck on their part, they got lucky this time. It's not really an escalation in their behavior, it's just an escalation in their results. So, and we didn't react very strongly to any of the previous attacks, which of course is one of the reasons why this one occurred. So the issues being discussed in many quarters, and what we're going to do about it. Allegedly, President Biden has made a decision on what he wants to do. I think we're looking forward to that, huh? But anyway, my own opinion on it is that some of the people are just suggesting that we ought to actually attack Iran directly with military force, which would be an interesting reversal of policy, such we just were giving them billions of dollars not that long ago. I mean, but at any rate, I don't think we should attack Iran directly for a number of reasons. One, our force posture in the area simply is not adequate to sustain a conflict with Iran right now. I mean, it's very limited, and it would take a significant amount of time to deploy enough there. Plus, we're already tied down with supporting the Ukraine war and the Israel-Hamas war. I don't think we need to have this escalate. Plus, the fact is the Iranians do have a particularly large stockpile of missiles which could be used to barrage American bases in the region, and or Israeli targets, or both. And also some of our ships could end up being vulnerable because the Iranians have a variety of weapon systems, and trying to make comparisons of what was done back in the 1980s when certain events occurred is simply just not relevant to the current force posture that the Iranians have. Their air defenses, for example, are far better than they were in that time period. So I think that is not the correct way to go. Now, the correct way I think that we should go, and I think there's a clear group to retaliate against in a fairly heavy way, and that is this Houthi outfit in Yemen that's been attacking various naval vessels and also attacking commercial shipping, trying to go through the Red Sea. And I'll kind of explain, why I think this is the best target for a retaliatory action. By the way, if you like these videos, please give me a like. If you haven't subscribed, we could use as many subscriptions as we could get. And we haven't had any new ones recently. We'd like to have some additional subscriptions here. After all, I'm just 18 short of getting to 100, where something good is supposed to happen at that point. So we'll see if it does. And of course, by the way, I of course post these videos on Rumble as well. So if you are subscribed to Rumble, you can subscribe to me there. So yeah, the reason I think this Houthis, well, first of all, they're a weaker target. They don't have a great ability to strike back. And the other thing is they really are doing something that's been a traditional area where the U.S. always took a strong stand, and that is freedom of the seas. After all, that's in the Marines hymn, the part about the shores of Tripoli. That was one of our earliest reactions to the Barbary pirates, right? So this has been a long-standing policy. Freedom of the seas is the basic reason why the War of 1812 occurred, and so forth. And I think that what we need is a little bit more firepower. So what I would seriously suggest is deploy a unit of B-1 bombers, which are the heavy bomber that was developed and has been converted to strictly conventional use because of the arms control treaties. It has a higher performance and I think greater survivability than B-52s would have for this purpose. And at the same time, it has all the payload you'd need. And if you could deploy these to, say, Diego Garcia, they would be in striking range of there and also might pose a little bit of a deterrent threat toward the Iranians as well. Although I don't suggest attacking, but getting something like that into the theater and launching some heavy raids against the Houthi targets, I think would probably be useful in both maybe ending this little siege they've been waging against commercial shipping and also showing that engaging in these sort of attacks on the U.S. and its interests is not a very good thing without actually escalating it to a full-scale engagement, which would require a massive commitment of forces if you're really going to go against the Iran. And remember, air raids against Iran could very well lead to airplanes being shot down and American POWs. So that I think I'd be very cautious about that. I guess we could use cruise missiles and weapons such as the JASSM and other Tomahawks, but I just think pushing it that far at this point is probably not a good idea. Although we ought to cease giving them any money, that's for sure. And the other thing is, of course, if somebody was suggesting attacking their oil facilities, but if we did that, of course, that would be be kind of contrary to the policy we've been pursuing about Russia, since China would become more dependent on Russia probably if they did that. So at any rate, that is kind of what I would suggest as the appropriate response. And if they want to find the specific militia group that launched the attack, yeah, I can get them too. But that's kind of the level of operation I think would make sense at this point. Plus, having those aircraft deployed into the Indian Ocean region there would kind of might suggest something might be occurring at a later date, and therefore maybe have a deterring effect. But so, at any rate, that's kind of about that. On the other issues we've been looking at lately, it looks like Texas is still hanging in there, and they for the moment seem to have succeeded in taking control of the park at Eagle Pass, and the federal government has not really done anything about it as of this recording. So it looks like they're getting what they want for the moment, and I think also I think part of the issue there is that Biden would probably really look very two-faced if he tried to do that while claiming now that he needs help in controlling the border. But what's even more absurd about that is the whole border crisis problem we have that was totally caused by his reversal of the Trump policies. Now, yeah, there were some illegal immigrants going through during the end of the Trump administration, but they've been significantly reduced from what they had been at the peak. And although I keep hearing these people that don't like Trump going, even in the Republican Party, saying, well, he didn't get the wall finished. Well, he would have it finished by now if he'd gotten reelected. So let's be a little bit reasonable here. Things take time, and there was a lot of opposition in Congress and the court systems to that, and it took a while to figure out the method that could actually get it funded. And he eventually did do that until, of course, now the materials he got are kind of wasting away because Biden stopped everything on the first day of his administration. His protest that he needs congressional action to control the border is a farce and is completely deceptive. And so I think on that one, I would just have to say, hold their ground. It looks to me like at the moment, I'm not sure whether the Senate's really going to pass this bill that they've concocted or not. Langford has been trying to say it isn't as bad as we say it is, but from what I've seen, it really is. And I can't believe that it's going to pass in normal order in the House. I mean, there's even a tax cut we're having trouble getting passed at the moment because of certain people on our own side that are blocking it. So anyhow, that's kind of that. And I would like to make another comment. I've been hearing all these people, for some reason, the singer Taylor Swift has gotten the attention of the conservative crowd. And I would like to point out that I think the smart thing to do about this issue is not to talk about it anymore. I mean, there's first of all, Taylor Swift is obviously not going to endorse Trump. Okay, so that's not going to happen. Whether she really eagerly endorses Biden or not in this election is unclear. And doing anything to agitate her or anger her is not going to be any way of dissuading her not to do it. In fact, all the pressure on her that might be effective, I think, really is the go the other way, because being part of that entertainment community, well, I mean, we saw what happened to Kanye West when he endorsed Trump, right? Not so good. So that's not so. The basic thing is just to lay off of her and let her and her boyfriend enjoy the Super Bowl, and hope she goes on her tour and and doesn't do a whole lot other than on that one day a year where they recommend people register to vote. She'll probably do that again, and don't. I mean, it's a futile thing to mess with it, and it makes us look like fools, I think. So anyway, that's my thought on that. And so anyhow, that's kind of all for now. I will of course post this on Rumble, as I mentioned before, as well as on YouTube, and the description, the addresses of my social media accounts are on the description below. You can follow me on any of those. Particularly, I post more frequently on X, as it's now officially called, or it used to be Twitter, because I do updates between these videos on various topics that come to mind at the time. So until next time.